state police. He's asking me why I got to find a truck and find this truck in Illinois, buy it from there. Can't you find one in Houston? I was like, man, it's an older truck. He didn't understand. Of course, he's not a car guy, I'm Cory Scott from Conroe, Texas. I'm in a club called Negative Camber. Been in the club for about 20 years now. I run a shop called Kustom Werx that opened up in 2001. Well, me as a kid, like any other kid, I was into Hot Wheels. And my mom even told me when I got older and I started collecting Hot Wheels cars that I always had to have one, and I played with them for hours and hours. Well, my dad was a big car guy, and he drag raced. So when Dad drag raced, he started building a car. I was a young boy. He was a Corvette guy. He had a bunch of Corvettes, and but his big thing was drag racing. So when I was a young boy, he started building a race car in the garage, and I used to go out there and help him out as much as I could. I don't know how much help I was. And he just eat, sleep, and breathe cars. And I guess that's where I got it from. But when he got the car built, he worked on the car for probably that race car about 5 years. He had several before I was born and stuff. But we go to the racetrack, and drag races were on Sundays. Well, I got to miss church and go drag racing with Dad, but my mother knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be with Dad at the racetrack. And that led to when I turned 16 years old and I got my first vehicles, and I started playing with them. I got into car audio, and then I got into custom vehicles. So the first car that I got was a 2-door Chevrolet Caprice. And Dad put wheels on it. He helped me put a stereo system in it. Dad did car stereos back in the 70s. And so when I got into car stereos and I didn't know, and I'm trying to put the stereo in, my dad would come and do it, And I'm like, wow, my dad knows how to do car stereos too and build motors and all this stuff. Well, I had big sound systems back then, but then I didn't want a car. I wanted a truck, and I wanted a square body truck. And my senior year in high school, I got an '83 GMC truck. Dad lowered it for me. I wanted it lowered. It had 15-inch center lines on it, and then he helped me put a new interior in it. He paid for it. I did all the work. Me and a buddy of mine did it all. I had my own set of tools. Now I always used Dad's. We weren't allowed in Dad's toolbox. Dad was a mechanic by trade, and so he turned wrenches for many years. He had a big toolbox full of tools. But I started buying my own tools when I went to work at 14 years old. I went to work for a barbecue restaurant, and I raced RC cars through high school also. But when my senior year, when I started messing with my truck, and then I started buying my own tools. Back then, around here, we had the club called Trendsetter Minis. Well, I wasn't in Trendsetter Minis, but a few of my friends were. But Pat Maxwell, who ran Trendsetter Minis, everybody knows who Pat is, been around for years. Well, look at here. We got 2 vehicles standing here that got his paintwork on them. So he was starting a club back up called Simple Interest, and a friend of mine, Chris Gilbert, who was in Trendsetter Mini, said, hey, Pat Maxwell's starting this club. Why don't you come to the first meeting, see about getting in the club? I'm like, yeah, I'm down with that. So I go to this first meeting. That's actually the first time I really got to meet Pat. I'd been to Texas Heatwave before and stuff. That was my first big car show, was Texas Heatwave, before I had a show vehicle. And so I met Pat, and I started building this truck, got in this club, Simple Interest. It was a small club of 20 guys, and several guys that were in Simple Interest are still doing this today. And this club was in '96 when Pat started it. But Pat kept it to 20 guys. It was awesome, tight little group. And by that time now, I'm really sucked into the custom truck world, okay? And so I started building this truck. I had a friend of mine, Shane Barnes, who did the paint work on it. And Pat Maxwell did the graphics on it. And I did a bunch of other stuff. And a good friend of mine, Kyle Patrick, was a big help on that truck. Anthony Baird, another friend of mine who contributed to it. So it was my first custom truck. Built the truck, was featured in Truckin Magazine November 1997. Was my first feature. Sold that one, bought another truck, bought a brand new truck. My parents helped me get financed on it. I think I was 19 or 20 years old, still couldn't get financed. And they co-signed for me. Had it for a few months, and my mom's like, "You're not doing anything to this truck." And I said, "Okay." I bought a lowering kit. My dad didn't care. My dad he didn't care. If I had $10 to my name and I was buying something for the truck, Dad didn't care if I spent my $10 on the truck, because that's how he was. I remember my mom had gone to work. She worked for the school district. And she went to work that day, and I had to put a full drop kit on this thing, which was a big job. And I was like, I got to get this done before she gets home from work. So as soon as she left that morning, I'm up, I'm out in the garage. My dad knew what I was doing. My mom didn't know, but as soon as she left, I get to work on it. And I'm telling you what, my mother is pulling in the driveway as I'm loosening that jack handle as I'm done finishing it up. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing." She's like, "You lowered your truck." "No, Mom, I didn't." "Yes, you did." So she was she kind of got a little upset. Like I said, my dad, he was into it. He didn't care. It just didn't bother him. So at the time, Simple Interest Club had kind of faded out. And I got a job working at a street rod shop for a guy named Keith Graves. And I was just hanging out over there and stuff, sweeping the floors, and he taught me how to weld. Then he taught me how to do some sheet metal fabrication, then on to body work. And that's what I was doing for him for a little while. And Keith Graves, a lot of people know who he is. He very good at what he does. And he's good at teaching people how to do stuff, because he would kind of let you just give you the basics and then let you go. And then it's up to you to figure it out type thing. So I learned a lot from that. Now I want to take this new truck that I've had for about a year, and customize it. I want to do the air ride. We did that over at the shop, at Keith's shop. Then I wanted to paint it. And that was the first Hot Wheels truck that I built. It was the first truck to come out of my shop in 2001 that we had done. I started over at Keith's, and I left there and opened my own shop up with a friend of mine. Me and him opened it up together, but after about 6 months, he was out. He didn't want to do it. It was just too tough. Because it's rough, starting out. And so he just like, "Look, I just want out." And so I said, "Okay." And at the time, I'm 25 years old when I start the shop. I had a little bit of business sense from my previous jobs that I had. I ended up managing a restaurant, and then I was a parts manager for another company. So I had a little bit of experience of business savvy. So I went ahead and opened the shop up, and basically I gave it hell, keep it going. And I struggled for many years. It's no lie. I struggled for at least 5 years. Went broke many times, gotten, bad binds and stuff like that. But I kept paying the bills. So that was my second build that I had done. And it made the cover of Street Trucks Magazine. I started to get to know Tito real well. And he was just like, "Cory, I'll shoot everything you got, everything you build." and great guy. Tito was a real good guy, very well respected in the scene. He's still remembered today. And Tito died, I think, 2011, if I remember right. We still do memorials for him and get together, which is a great thing that we still do that, because he was very well respected in this. This industry is a kind of a tight-knit industry. There's a lot of new people that have come in, but us original guys that have been in it for years and stuff like that, there's still a small group. I built a relationship with Pat Maxwell over the years. Pat has painted several vehicles for me. I'm not even sure how many without looking, but he has done a lot of custom paint jobs. And he did another truck that I built and painted all the trim on it. Phenomenal. I'll tell you a story. Me and my brother, my little brother built a truck for him. And I had this orange truck that's sitting here behind us. When I had built this truck back in 2005, we were at a show in Jennings, Louisiana. I think it was Gator Drag. I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure it was Gator Drag. But I had this orange truck and I had this blue diesel that I hauled that truck to the shows with. That was airbagged with custom paint on it. And my brother had a nice truck that we had built for him at the shop. And he was in college. He was going to A&M. Well, all of these editors come to us wanting to shoot this truck and that truck. And so we had 3 different magazines wanting to shoot our vehicles. But he had a magazine that wanted 2 magazines that want to shoot his truck. I have 2 magazines want to shoot my truck. 2 magazines want to shoot the other truck. So we've got like six features or photo shoots that we got to get to this evening. So me and him are sitting around and we're going, man, how can we pull this off without them knowing that this one over here is shooting it? And because these editors, when one of them is shooting it, they want to be the exclusive one. And so we're like, how are we going to do this? And I was like, well, yours is pretty simple. You have 1 truck. I got 2 trucks that I got to have in 2 places at the same time. So I get someone to help me out, and I have them take it to this photo shoot, and they can only shoot 1 at a time. So me and my brother figured it out. It's like, okay, while you're at this, you go to this one, I'll be at this one. And then when you're finishing up over here, you come over here and then I'll go over there. You know, we made it work. Magazines come out. We've got features coming out kind of like crazy that, you know, on our trucks, because we made all these photo shoots happen between street truck, sport truck, and trucking at that time. And it was funny to me and him, because we're just sitting here scratching our head, planning this out and going, okay, well, if we go to this one and you go to this one, and then we just cross paths, because you're in Jennings, Louisiana. You're not going across town. And that truck, I tell you, that truck, there's an orange 85 square body, and it was featured in every magazine. It ended up getting featured in all of them. And that truck I bought in Illinois, I called a guy and I talked to him. He's like, yeah, I said, I got another guy from Houston supposed to buy it, but he's never sent me any money. I said, well, I'll send you $2,000 tomorrow, you know. And so I did. And I told him, I said, well, look, mother's in the hospital. When she gets out, I'll plan a trip to come get it. Guy was really cool. He waited and he was patient. Said, I understand. I tried to plan this trip. My mother passes away, so I can't plan this. I can't go get this truck. And I'm like, I'm gonna lose this truck. You know, this guy's gonna think that I'm BSing him because I can't. Yeah, you know, I've got these excuses, and he don't know me. So, anyways, I plan a trip. Grandfather passes away. I was like, oh, great. Now this guy's really not going to believe me. Call him up and I said, look, here's the deal. I said, now my grandfather's passed away. I don't know yet. I'd already planned on coming that weekend. So, long story short, I was able to make the trip happen in between him passing away and his funeral, because I had to go to Illinois. And a friend of mine, Ben Benenson, Skinny, we call him, and Scott Rupp, we take off to Illinois. Great trip. Us 3 guys had a good time. It was just, me and Scott made several road trips together, okay? We and Scott have had some good time, a lot of history. So we shoot up there, we get pulled over. We just had a good experience on it. The Highway Patrol got us in Missouri somewhere. But and the funny thing was about this whole thing is I'm hauling an empty trailer, and this patrolman, he's a state police. He's asking me why I got to find a truck and find this truck in Illinois, buy it from there. Can't you find one in Houston? I was like, man, it's an older truck. He didn't understand, of course. He's not a car guy, So we get up there and it was cold. It's February. It's February in Missouri and Illinois. And man, it was cold. We froze. So, anyways, we got it. The trip went really good. We stopped in Dallas. I had a funeral to go to, and after that, I come back home that Monday, and then it was time to start building that truck. So I built that truck, and at the same time as when I was building that truck, we moved into a different shop, into a bigger building in 2005. September 2005, I moved into a bigger building. It was a 6,000 square foot building at the time, and I'm like, man, this is huge. I went from a 3,000 square foot building. The sad part about it is my first shop is actually smaller than my garage here, where I started. When we moved to this 6,000 square foot building, I thought, man, we don't need a bigger building than this. This one's huge, we can make this happen. Yeah, that lasted a few years. And we expanded, and now we've got about 13,000 square feet, and we're in the process of going through another 1,500 square foot expansion at the shop. Plenty of employees to keep up with. I think there's 15. I got 15 right now, 14 or 15 right now, and that's a lot to keep up with, and a lot of people to pay, a lot of mouths to feed, a lot of families to support. I never thought it would get to that. Very, very grateful that it had of what I have and where I've gotten to. It's been hard work. It's tough. I was the new shop many years ago in the area. Now we're, going on 19 years now, which I can't believe. I feel like I should be further ahead in life. At 19, when I think about 19 years in business, I feel like I should be further ahead, but I can't complain because I was lucky to survive, to make it, to get through it and weather the storm, which is always a storm, And when I started, my dad had loaned me $1,300 to get into this shop. And my buddy who got in with me, a friend of mine named Shane Barnes, his dad loaned him $1,300, and then we had to pay our dads back, but that's where it started. And I don't know how it made it, because I had a toolbox, Shane had a paint gun, we had to buy a compressor. I don't know how we made it, that far. And like I said, he got out, which is probably kind of smart when you think about it, because it's turning me into an old man. We've had lots of features come out of the shop. Probably 40, and covers probably 8 to 10 covers, I'm guessing. I can't never counted them all, but there's been a bunch over the years. Just my personal stuff is I think every vehicle I've ever built has been featured, and I counted mine at one time. 17 or 18 or 19, something like that is how many features I have, and then probably another 20, at least 20 to 30 probably come out of the shop. And I had some great guys working for me at the shop. Justin Berry, Scott Rupp, a guy named Paul Brown who worked for us, and there's some other guys. Eric, who we call Beans, who works for All Out Off-Road, and he's been and Eric's doing well in the automotive industry as well. I've had some great people, and I got great employees now. I've got really good employees that work for me. And it's hard keeping your employees happy when you get so many of them. You try, but most of my guys, they're good guys, good hard workers, and I try to make it, I want them to enjoy coming to work. So I'll ask, come to work, do your job, and we go home at the end of the day. And then I bought the K5 in 2008. I bought this one, started a build on it, bagged it, painted it, made me another Hot Wheels truck. So Scott Rupp, again, Scott's coming up a lot in these conversations, okay? He kind of my ride or die type guy, we've done a lot. So Scott was, he had a little Mazda truck. He built nice, clean Mazda Scott had done, and it was kind of stock looking, bagged, beautiful truck. And I was always full size, built full size trucks, and he's a mini truck guy. And nothing against mini trucks. So Scott smarts off one day, said, man, you ain't built a real truck till you built a mini truck. And I said, dude, come talk to me when you build a full size. So we'd go bicker back and forth about it. And I said, you want me to build a mini truck? I'll build a mini truck. He's like, yeah. I said, okay. A few days later, I'm online and I'm searching. I find a Mazda truck in Miami, Florida for $2,500. So again, Scott, I bought a truck. We got to go get it. Not, Scott, you going to go with me? Scott, I bought a truck. We got to go get it. So I remember on a Friday morning, I booked me and him a flight to Miami, and we're going to drive this Mazda pickup back. So we fly to Miami. We get there. This guy picks us up, takes us over this little car lot that he had. The truck was pretty rough, beat up. Scott's like, wow. I'm like, yeah, thing needs a lot of work. Tires don't look that great. Guy said it had a new rebuilt motor in. Okay, hope it makes it back to Houston. Oh yeah, you're gonna be fine. So me and Scott start making our trip, heading north from Miami, Florida. So we're about to cover the whole state of Florida in a Mazda truck. It's a little hot, getting a little warm. It's in October, a little warm. So we go turn the air conditioner on. Nope. I'm like, I guess it don't have AC. And this truck had a sweet spot at like 78. You get below that, vibrating, shaking. We're like, man, something's wrong with it. 78 miles an hour, the little Mazda pickup, it's smoothed out. I think 78 to 82. And so we stopped one time to get gas, and we opened the hood, and we're like, well, no wonder this thing don't have, it ain't no AC in here. We get all the way up through Jacksonville, Florida, and we start heading west through the state of Florida. The sun goes down, it gets dark, it gets cold. We're in shorts and t-shirts. It's cold. Windows fogging up. Let's try the heater. We ain't got no heater either. We don't have nothing. So we drive all the way to Gonzales, Louisiana, and we're gonna go hit a show. I think it was Sicknick that we hit. I can't remember. So we and Scott, we're gonna get a hotel. We get in Gonzales, Louisiana at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna get a hotel. We're gonna get up in the morning. We're gonna go to the show. Then we're gonna drive back home. So that's what we did. We went to the show for a little bit. And we drive back home. I parked the truck in the parking lot. I'm not gonna mess with it. A week later, I'm gonna start building this truck. So I go to doing the air ride on it. Scott helps me with the air ride. So a guy that worked for me, Charles Kell, after I get all the metal work done, Charles goes in and does all the body work. And of course, I was there helping him do body work on it as well, but Charles did a lot of the body work on it and did an excellent job. I like to paint my own stuff, but I think I had Justin do that one. And I get it all done. I get the interior done. Well, a lot of old friends kind of hating on me because I built this mini truck that turned out badass. And I say they're hating on me. They're kind of giving me a hard time. They're like, dude, you build full-size trucks. Well, what is this? And they were like, you built one killer mini truck. Well, Scott was like, Cory, I got to give it to you. You built a badass mini truck. And he goes, I bet you they shoot this thing for the cover. I was like, Scott, the motor isn't done. It's not body drop, you know. He's like, I bet they shoot it for the cover. I said, there's a lot nicer trucks out there than this one. But they did great, you know, it'd be awesome. So we go to Tex-Mex Car Show that year. I think that was 2011. And we take it out there, and Minitruckin wants to shoot it, of course, so they shoot it. After that's done, we come back home the following week. The guy from Minitruckin calls me, and we had become friends over the years. And he goes, Cory, I got some bad news and I got some good news on your truck. The good news is, or they said, the bad news is I got to reshoot your truck. The good news is they want to put it on the cover. They want to put it in the next issue that they're doing. Like, so they fly a photographer back out to shoot it. But what I didn't tell you is this: when they shot the Blazer for the cover, the Mazda is on the cover at the very top too, and it's featured in there. So I have both trucks on the cover, and both of them are featured in the same magazine, which is really cool. And at the same time that they did that, it came out on the cover of Minitruckin. So I built this one, wanted to do a two-tone paint job. Maxwell did the graphics on it. And then I did the interior, built the interior. A guy named Paul Brown did all the fab work on the interior. And then I had Maxwell come in and follow all the graphics through all the interior. I had the truck done 4 or 5 days, and a guy, Stacy Campbell, comes and wants to buy it. Well, at the time I just bought this piece of property that I'm on right here. I'd bought the land, and I thought, well, you know what, I can sell that truck and it'll almost pay off my property. So I sold it to him. A couple years later, I kind of regretted it, but I was like, well, it's gone. I ended up tracking it down and buying it back. And that's why I've got it back today, which it was great. The guy who had it took really good care of it. It changed hands a couple times after Stacy had sold it. Bought it back out of Colorado. Was amazed at the shape that it was in. And the guy told me he was really cool. He said, look, Cory, a lot of people want to buy this truck, but you built it. If anybody's getting it, you are. It's been good to have this one back. And my son loves this truck. And that's the only reason I haven't resold it. I've had it back for, I think, 3 years now. Let's see. Yes, 2012, my dad was turning 64 years old. And turning 65 a year later is kind of a big thing. So I thought, you know what, my dad has always mentioned that he misses his old red truck. So my dad had a long wheelbase, two-tone red and maroon 81 Chevrolet truck that he had. I think he kept it for 17 years. And he always said, man, I miss my old red truck. I wish I had my old red truck. I called my brothers up and I said, hey, look, I said, I want to build Dad a truck for his 65th birthday, like his red one. I'm like, okay, well, Cory, it's not a good time, financially for them to do it. And I said, no, I think I want to do it, okay? A friend of mine found the truck in Dallas, and I said, that's perfect. It was already red. I didn't care which it didn't really matter, but it was a red long wheelbase, pretty beat up, pretty bad shape, but it was complete. And that's what I was looking for. It was a virgin truck. It had never been wrenched on, you could tell. So I buy the truck and I decided, you know what, I'm going to build this truck for my dad because Dad loaned me the original $1,300 to start the business back in '01, and it was kind of a payback to him. I buy the truck, I tear it all the way down, everything. If it was a piece of plastic or rubber, I replaced it. I bought new ones. I bought everything new for the truck, other than the metal, the sheet metal, the frame, the suspension parts that are metal. And a couple of guys at the shop helped me, but I didn't want too much help because this is to my dad. So I wanted to do most of the truck myself. A guy named Matt Spence, y'all probably know who Matt is. When it came down to getting stuff powder coated, he had some friends, and he and Matt took all the parts. He got all the powder coating done, got me a good deal on that, helped me out on that part of it. His birthday's coming up. Took pictures from the day I bought the truck in Dallas to the day I finished it. Even got the truck featured before I gave it to him. Which, from the time I finished the truck to the time I gave it to him, it was only about 2 weeks. So and Joseph shot it in between that 2 weeks. I built a photo album with every photo that I took, printed off all the pictures, and then every receipt to the truck from the full build. If it was $3, and I have the book to it, okay? And I give everything to him. It has all the paperwork for your belts and the oil that's in it, everything, okay? So we planned the trip to go to his, we did a big birthday party for him, and we got a lot of his old friends that he had known for 40 years to come to his house in Trinity to do this big birthday for his 65th. And what we told everybody, look, we're giving him this truck. Well, a lot of people knew this truck because he drove it for so many years. So we dropped the trailer off, we go to his house, and take our luggage inside. We're staying the night, of course. It's on a Friday night, party's on Saturday, and I carry this birthday present in, and he's like, man, what is this? And it's odd shaped. And I said, Dad, I said, I'm not going to tell you what's in it, but I said, I'll give you a big hint. I said, what's in there just should not fit in that. The next morning, this present is sitting in his house, and he said, Cory, that bugged me all night, what you told me. He said, I was like, what? He said, that you said what's in there just shouldn't fit in there. I said, no, it doesn't. I said, but you'll see when you open it later. So we have the party. We get a lot of his old friends. He gets to talk to friends he hadn't seen in years. And he had a nice place up in Trinity where he could, he lived on a couple acres. And so they could pull him away and people could talk to him, because we had about 50 people at this party up there. So they distract him for a little bit. It's like, look, I just got to run up the road, get the truck and bring it back. And so me and a friend of mine, Shane Barnes, which Shane is who painted my first custom truck and who I started the shop with originally. We run up the road, we grab the truck, we back in the driveway on the trailer, we put the cover back over it, and we bring him out. And we've got tons of pictures, from that, but we told him, you come out, and see what you got, or see what I got for you. And he comes out and he can tell it's a truck on the trailer, but he has no idea what truck it is. And he starts to pull that cover back, and tears just come from his eyes. He looked at me before he even uncovered it. He said, Cory, why? I don't deserve this. I said, what do you mean you don't deserve it? He said, Cory, you put a lot of money into this. And I said, yeah. But I said, Dad, you helped me start my business. He said, I didn't give you but $1,300. And I said, but if you'd never given me that $1,300, I would have never been able to be where I'm at today. I said, so this is kind of reward to you. I said, when I set out to build this truck, it didn't matter what it cost. If it took everything I had, if I went in debt building, I said, I didn't care. I was building this truck for you. So he uncovers it, and then he gets to see that this truck is done. He'd never had anything like this, inside and out, upside down, every square inch of it. It kept him up almost all night. Of course, he had to tinker with it, and he just could not believe that I had given him this truck. And it was his old red truck that he used to have, okay? And so seeing him, how he felt about that, worth every dollar I spent and all the time that I spent on it. Then I give him the present to open, and he gets to go through the pictures and the receipts, and he is just, he's shocked. He's just totally shocked. February 2016, I told him that, that week, I said, man, I need to come get your truck at your house and bring it back so we can take it to LST, start getting it ready. He's like, all right. And get it this weekend, which was 2 weeks before LST. And I said, yeah, I probably can get it this Friday. So we leave work Friday, and I pick his truck up, and we talked about lowering the truck a little bit more and doing some other things to it. And that was our last conversation. Our last conversation was about his truck. He had a stroke that Sunday. I got a call that something was wrong with him. When I got there, that was basically it. They life flighted him out here to the Woodlands, and there was just nothing they could do for him. Several people started asking about they asked me about the truck. This is a few days after, and curiosity got to me, and I went and looked to see how many miles were on it, because I didn't, I knew he wasn't driving it much, but I was curious to how much he drove it. So I go in and look at the odometer, and it's got 87 miles on it. Well, when I gave it to him, it had 25 miles on it. So he was scared to drive it. And I hated that because I wanted to enjoy it, but he said it was too nice. He couldn't enjoy it because it was just too nice of a truck, and he didn't want to mess it up. And I told him, Dad, if you mess it up, I can fix it. I'm not worried about that. So he never did, and it basically stayed in his garage under a cover, and he would get it out and he would go, they had little shows where he lived in Trinity. He would go to little shows here and there, and that's where the miles came from, okay? Anyways, that's where I ended up. That's why I have the truck now, and to stay in this family. It will not go anywhere. Whether it gets handed down to my son or whoever, the truck will stay here forever. It is not to be sold. After I had gotten his truck, that's when I got the itch to want to get my orange truck back, because that one was kind of tied to my mother in a sense, because I bought that when she was in the hospital. My mom knew I'd bought the truck. She was still coherent and stuff at the time. When I'd bought the truck, I told her I did not tell her I bought it. That's right. I was going to surprise her. I remember now. Whenever I wanted to buy this truck back, I started looking for it, and a guy named Jason, who was in our club, tracked it down. Got the guy's phone number. He was not on social media or anything, didn't do any of that. And Jason gets the guy's phone number, and I call him. He said the truck wasn't for sale, blah, blah, blah. And for about 8 months, you know, I kind of begged him to buy the truck back. And he said the truck was, in great condition, which it wasn't at all. It was pretty rough. Here or there, I was like, whatever, I just want the truck back. I'll rebuild it if I have to. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just going to rebuild the truck. And then I'll have both of them. And probably when that one's done, I'll probably load them and take them to certain shows together. I take these two together, and I'll take those two together or whatever. Because I'm not buying a bigger trailer. When I started the business, I started this because it's my hobby. Well, then it took my hobby away, because it turned into a business. And that's why I had to build me a garage at home, so that it's still my hobby when I get home. And I'm out here all the time, because I love to be out here. Hey guys, if you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. And follow BuiltToCruise on Facebook and Instagram. And check out BuiltToCruise.com. I think I got the tax return money is how I bought the wheels. We've all been there, we've all been there. I thought Pat Maxwell was a lot older than me, and I think he's about 10 years older than me, but when he started this, I thought he was way older, and he was in his 30s at the time, and I'm like going, and hell, I'm in my 40s now. And I thought he was an old man then. He's probably gonna kill me for saying this. It didn't record.